So we have just had a message from Race Control that the F1 Academy Race 1 has been postponed. That's obviously due to these conditions. They don't feel it's safe for the drivers to go out on track with this rain and wind. So it is likely that it will be rescheduled, hopefully for tomorrow. We are yet to find out exactly the details of that, but for now, the F1 Academy Race 1 has been postponed. Stunning sunshine, blue skies, very different to what we experienced yesterday. This is a track at 4.2 kilometers in length. The race has been reduced to 13 laps due to it being rescheduled this morning, 14 turns and plenty of elevation. One of the reasons we love racing here in Zandvoort. But if you are joining us this morning and you're wondering why we're going into race 1, it is because yesterday we tried to go racing, but we had pretty treacherous conditions. The rain really came in. Obviously, these drivers have a lot of experience, actually, because we had a pre-season test at Zandvoort in the rain. But yesterday, it really did get bad. Poised and ready to go. And F1 Academy is underway here in Zandvoort, and it's an excellent start there for Abby Pulling. Side by side, Nerea Marti gets ahead of Dorian Pan. Dorian Pan is side by side with Nerea Marti. Who's going to come out on top? Keep an eye on that. Everyone else behind jostles in for position, but a brilliant start. Great reactions from Abby Pulling there, and it is Dorian Pan who manages to hold on to P2, but Nerea Marti is right on her tail, followed by Maya Vogue.
Yeah, really good start, even from everyone. Abby Pulling doing perfect. Looked like Pam was on the back foot, but managed to hold the inside to a fast-starting Marti. As we see Gaben looking down the inside of Nobles, who's also had a good start. She had a look down the inside of Mara Vugan to turn 3. Couldn't quite get it stopped. Very easy to lock her brake on this opening lap. Tyre temps, brake temps, not in the perfect operating window, but everyone has stayed clean so far, all the way up to turn number 9.
Nina Gaidman there, putting in a brilliant performance. She pushes ahead of the Puma car of Aurelia Nobles. Let's keep an eye on what she can do during the course of this first race here.
Houseman and Schreiner battling hard. Pan looks like she's got some good pace though, doesn't she? Is she just getting that gap down a little bit? The slipstream's so extreme here. See the cars bottoming out through the bank turn 14 as the fuel starts to burn off. That will happen less and less, but Pan's pace looks good. She was the fastest driver out of anyone in Sector 2. Big lock-up for Nobles. Can she keep it on the track? Yes, she can. Another lock-up as well there for Block. Like I said, these tyres aren't quite up to temperature yet, and that gives Alcabazi a chance to get down the inside of Block. She thinks better of it and lives to fight another day. Yeah,
Chloe Chambers breathing down the neck there of the Puma livery. Incredible racing from her, and Dorian Pan is now on the hunt. She is coming for Abby Pulling. She knows just how critical it is to gain those points to be in the hunt for the title. You can see Leah Block as well pushing hard behind Nina Houseman.
Yeah, just looking down the field, Jessica Edgar has lost 3 places, so she'll want to get back going forward past those cars. She's lost places to Lauren Foss and Houseman have got past her on these first couple of laps. Does look like Pulling is just gapping Pan a little bit at the start of the lap, and then it looks like it comes back to Pan a little bit towards the end of the lap, so we're already getting a bit of an ebb and flow here.
We're now just on board with Chloe Chambers, who has managed to maintain her position in 7th. So behind Marty, we've got Vug Gaidman, our wildcard driver, who did a great job moving up ahead of Nobles in 6th. Chloe Chambers, Block in 8th, Hamna Alcabazi 9th, Schreiner in 10th, Lovin Foss 11th, Houseman 12th, Edgar 13th, Emily de Hauge, a home race for her, looking for some points on the board, and Bianca Bustamante in 15th, with Amna Alcabazi closing out in 16th. So Chloe Chambers there managing to build a little bit of a gap between herself and Leah Block. We'll keep an eye on that battle. You can see just behind Leah Block there, you've got Hamna Alcabazi. Now Hamna has done really well here in the past. She's won twice before last year, and she has shown some brilliant progression over the course of this season. She was the highest place finisher from F1 Academy last year, and she was on the podium, of course, last time out, and she was 3rd in the standings last year.
Yeah, we're just seeing a race control message there. Let's listen in to Alcabazi.
Okay, Hamna, with determination. Think about the best place to do it.
The engineer there just trying to focus Hamda on the front foot. You talk about her being a race winner, but Carrie Schreiner behind her as well, also winning here at Zandvoort. Before we see the American Express car of Edgar down in 13th at the moment after starting 10th. But Pulling's pace, she was the only driver in the 37, 6/10 faster than anybody else. She's pulled that gap out to 1.4. I think that's going to be closer to 2 seconds by the end of this lap, and we've only got 10 laps to go.
Moving the race from 17 to 13, what effect will have that had on the drivers' approach to this race?
Not so much for the drivers. Every lap is a sprint. It's relatively hard on tyres here at Zandvoort, but not enough to have to manage the tyres in these F1 Academy cars. The main difference will just be a little less fuel, so 4 laps less fuel, 12 kilos or so. So the car will just feel a bit more nimble than it will do in race 2. All the drivers having new tyres due to a wet qualifying session, so the grip levels will actually be high. A racetrack is always fast in the morning, track temp is low, the sun coming up, you get this happy hour effect, and it'll be interesting to see the lap times. So they keep getting faster as the fuel comes off or as the tyres drop off, and are we going to see a slight shift in performance as that happens? As we go to a replay of the race start, you can see Pulling gets away well. Nuria Marti gets a great jump. Pan has to go over and cover, and this is where Pan does so well to hold the inside into turn 1, the Tarzan hairpin, and just force Nuria Marti a little higher than she would want to be, and that lets Pan get back past her and reclaim second position.
Yeah, and a great start there from Abby Pulling, and a good bit of defensive work from Dorian Papp to secure P2. And then a little bit of action between Maya Vug and Nerea Marti there, side by side, but Nerea Marti coming out on top to secure her P3.
Interestingly there, we're talking about a false start potentially for Pan. I can't see it on any of those 2 replays we just got given. We're also getting an incident involving Houseman and Edgar noted at turn 3. So it'll be interesting to see what has happened there. They haven't swapped positions. You can hear Bustamante gets a big bit of wheel spin there on a damp part of the track. You can see the Hausch in the Ford liveried Red Bull car get down the inside. She then goes all the way to the inside to try and get the shortest distance, but everyone stacks up a bit. Noah Arki 2x2 there, and it was difficult for anyone to really make a place. But more importantly, no one had contact and no one created any damage. So let's see, you can see the lights. When do they go? You need to kind of look both. I think the lights are off before she moves. So for me, she's innocent.
So you can see Carrie Schreiner in that bright green and black Kick Sauber car, currently in a points finishing position in P10. Definitely on the hunt for Hamna Al-Khabazi ahead. Interestingly, both of those drivers were race winners last year, both part of F1 Academy. And each driver only gets to compete in F1 Academy for 2 seasons. So this is the last year that they really have to impress. And, you know, if you're not winning at the title, then you need to be able to secure yourself a job for next year, a seat in another championship or another series. So it really is critical to be able to perform, not just for yourself, but to be able to secure yourself a seat for next year.
Al-Khabazi in her second year, like you said, will want to be a little higher than this. Inside the top 10 is great, but I think she knows she should be on the podium, and that's why her engineer was just trying to focus her in a little bit. You can see her just keeping it a little tighter than Leah Block, who is in her first year in Academy, but also of any circuit racing. So she's doing extremely well at the moment. We've seen a couple of big lockups for her into turn number 1. So again, the teams will be helping these drivers on the radio, suggesting a brake bias change how much of the brake energy is going to the front axle. And if you can shift it rearwards, you might just be able to brake a little later and save those front tyres.
Also, what I find fascinating about this track is how, particularly for the banked corners, there are so many different lines that you can take. So actually, you know, practice, we had 2 practice sessions over the course of this weekend, is probably more critical here than others, because they can just find that perfect line to get the maximum out of the car.
Yeah, definitely. You've got to sort of do a trial and error with these corners. There's just an infinite amount of lines, and none of them are perfect. So if you're stuck behind someone, what you tend to do is run into a corner a little bit deeper, which gives you a later apex, which means you're straighter on the run out, which gives you a sort of higher straight line, as we do see a time penalty for Pan for that false start. So I'm wrong on that. Obviously, I've called it. It looks okay to me, but Race Control have a lot more data than me. That 5 second will get communicated to her. At the moment, she's only 1.6 ahead of Marti. So 5 seconds would drop her either to 6th or 7th. Chloe Chambers is exactly 5 seconds behind her at the moment, and she is in P number 6.
So that is now going to be the target for Dorian Pal. It is not so much managing to take the lead of the race, but she needs to create that 5-second gap between herself and Nerea Marti. Otherwise, she will lose out on points that are absolutely critical in her fight for the title at the moment.
Yeah, it's going to be difficult there. We're still seeing this ebb and flow. Nobles actually looks like she's found a little bit of pace in that Puma car. Block is definitely holding up Alcabazi, but that is motorsport. You don't need to be in fast. It's going to be interesting. Let's hear from Pan about the penalty.
Dori, we need to push as hard as you can. We have 5 seconds time penalty for jump start. 5 seconds time penalty for jump start. Push, push.
I would have loved to have heard her reaction to that, or maybe it wasn't broadcastable.
Yeah, the retort would have been interesting to say the least.
How much does that affect your psyche during the course of the race? You know, potentially, maybe she was aware she'd done it, maybe she wasn't. And if you're not and you feel like you've been unfairly penalised, how difficult is it to sort of almost block it out, but just focus on the race ahead?
Yeah, it's important information, though, because she might be realising that I probably haven't got the pace to catch pulling and I'm safe from Marti, so I don't need to push. But now she knows she needs to try and find an extra 5 seconds. She will be pushing everything. So information is key as we see another penalty for a false start as well. Amna Alcabazi currently in 16th place. So, yeah, interesting. A couple of penalties already for that. But, yeah, Dorian Pan, she's very calm in her demeanour. Interestingly, drivers, it's a real watershed thing if the anger makes them better or worse. Sometimes you can harness that anger. I know personally, when I get angry over something, you kind of give it that devil-may-care attitude and you go, I don't really care if I crash anymore. I'm going to really push the envelope and see what happens. And that's why it's a watershed, because you either do go faster or you crash.
Yeah, well, we've got a great battle going on between Maya Vug in the red Ferrari and Nerea Marti in the Tommy Hilfiger car just ahead. I mean, Nerea Marti's had a great season so far, you know, consistently improving. I think she's quite an adaptable driver, quite an intuitive driver, perhaps a little bit less data-driven than some of the others, but it's really suiting her over the course of the season. She's currently 4th in the championship on 63 points, but there's, you know, a couple of them. She's on 63 points, Bianca Bustamante 57 points, Hamna Alcabazi on 55. So this is the point in the season, you know, we're almost at the midpoint. In fact, after this race, we are bang halfway through the season. Someone needs to take charge of that fight for the 3rd in the championship.
On board here of Alcabazi behind Leah Block into turn number 13. What happens here? Block's a little wide. She uses a lot of curb though, Alcabazi, and I think that just bottomed out the car. The cars are so low, the plank underneath the driver's seat is the lowest point. I think that she just bottomed out there and it gave her a big snap of oversteer. She did well to catch it, but she did lose to Leah Block there. Now 1.2 seconds behind, whereas Leah Block is down to 4/10 from Nobles in front of her.
So we're on lap 9 of 13. Abby Pulling has made a nice little gap, 3.7 seconds between herself and biggest rival Dorian Pan, with Marti 3rd, Vug 4th, Nina Gaiman, our wildcard, 5th, Chambers 6th, Noble 7th, Block 8th, Hamna Alcabazi 9th, Schreider 10th, Lola Lovenfoss 11th, Houseman 12th, Edgar 13th, De Hausch in 14th, Bustamante 15th, and Amna Alcabazi in 16th. And now, given the fact that we do have to a second race literally in an hour's time, do you think they're being a little bit safer over the course of this race? Because, you know, there's no time to, if there is any damage to the car, to fix it.
Yeah, definitely so. And you'll tell yourself that as a driver at the start of the race, a bit of red mist may kind of dilute that mindset somewhat. But yeah, unless you know the move is definitely on, you're probably just going to err on the side of caution, because it's a bit of a quirk having this race so close together that one DNF could actually just double, and that's your whole weekend done, and you're going to score 0 points. But you could use that as a positive and kind of put that on the other driver you're racing with, and it's like, I'm going to send it down the inside, so if you turn in, we're both going to DNF, and you can maybe use that as a positive. And I think Maya Vug is the driver most likely to make a move for the final podium position on Nerea Marti.
Yeah, this is obviously a home race for Maya Vug, fighting for 3rd at the moment. She had a great start to the season with 2 podiums in Jeddah. Hasn't been on the podium since, and was out of the points in Barcelona. Barcelona. So this would be a great moment for her and her team Ferrari. She was the first female Ferrari Driver Academy driver, and she also won the Girls on Track Rising Star program. And she's quite experienced when it comes to single-seater racing. But we are now on board with Hamna Al-Khabizi, who's currently in 9th at the moment. So she is in the points finishing position, but if she can get ahead of Leah Block, it would make quite a difference to her points scoring position.
Yeah, definitely, because you actually see the speed trap data there. All three cars exactly the same. The cars are identical, so it may not be surprising, but the amount of setup changes you can do, and obviously 4 different teams running cars, that shows you how close one-make racing can be. As we
Leah
see
Block there.
You're looking...
Yeah,
and then,
looking down the inside. Bit of a lock-up.
Yeah, she went back to the racing line. It just unsettled the car, but this might be stuff that Leah Block's never done before, racing on a circuit. In a rally car, you kind of do that momentum, sort of pendulum Scandinavian flick to get the car into the corner. That's essentially what she tried there, but these cars are so stiff that they just can't react to that weight transfer, so that is why the car then unsettled. She's now realising she's probably only got 2 more laps to get a chance to overtake. She is in that awkward position in the middle of 3 cars. You want to attack, but you also know you've got a car on your rear. If you make a mistake, you lose a place. So it is a difficult mindset to get the right balance of attack and defence. Yeah,
and also a reminder that some of these drivers have actually had quite a bit of experience here. So the likes of Pulling, Edgar, Bustamante, Nobles, Gateman and Chambers all did a British F4 race here not that long ago. So maybe that's where the likes of Nina Gateman has got that little bit of extra experience that has really played into her hands here today.
Yeah, and it was good move and commitment by the drivers to get extra track time. There was actually 8 female drivers in that British F4 race, so to have a mixed grid of 8 females, it really shows you the initiative of F1 Academy is already working. It will take time to spread all the way through motorsport, but that was a great case study of why this championship is so important.
Yeah, and in that rose gold livery, it does look really good. It's all due to a collaboration with the Female Quotient, the FQ, which is a sort of digital platform, media platform that is really pushing parity for women in the workplace, and they're going to be part of F1 Academy for the rest of the season. So great to see it's all going well for their first race. Yeah,
and Gateman is so close to actually being 4th overall with the time penalty for Pan. She is currently 4.9 seconds from Pan. We know Pan has a 5-second penalty, so in these last couple of laps it'll be interesting to see what that gap does. She has just done a green sector 1 as well. I'm sure the team are telling her, do you need to push, and you can actually finish 4th here on the results.
Yeah, and again, look at that gap between Dorian Pan and Nerea Marti. It has increased to 2.5 seconds, but at the moment that is not going to be enough for Dorian Pan to cling on to a P2 finish. It really does all hang in the balance on these last couple of laps. Side by side there between Hamna Al-Khabizi and Leah Block. A little, not quite contact, but not far off it.
Yeah, it was a good idea from Al-Khabizi because it's not a stereotypical corner you'd overtake at, so she nearly caught Block napping. The problem is she looks to the inside again. Look at Nobles now getting away. As soon as a battle starts, you start compromising your line and your exit speeds, and your lap times fall away. So Nobles will be looking in her mirror. Block really defensive now as they go on to their final lap. This is going to get really interesting. Can Al-Khabizi get the cutback? No, just a little bit of wash from the rear of Block's car, I think, created a bit of understeer. Mahavug looking to try and take that final podium position as well. Dorian Pan's last lap was a little bit slow. At the moment, she would be finishing 5th behind Nina Gateman.
So can Hamna Al-Khabizi do it? Yes, she can. She's managed to pass Leah Block down into turn 1. Leah Block putting up a great defence there, but didn't quite have the pace to match the Red Bull car. Hamna moves up to P8.
Amazing. Leah Block tried everything, but Hamna's speed was so good there. Be interesting, can Block get anything from this last half a lap? She's worked so hard to keep her there. It's so frustrating when you lose it so late on. Let's have another look as that. You can see the slipstream already coming out of 14. Leah Block squeezes her to the pit wall, leaves 101% of a gap of a car there, and then goes back to the racing line. Neither driver blinked. It was hard but fair racing and really good job by Hamda as well to get the car stopped. You could see it moving around in the brake zone.
And as you mentioned there, really good, clean racing. Although we've got to take a look at Abby Pulling, because this will be the last part of her lap 13 of 13. It's looking very likely that she's going to do it again. It would be her 5th win of this season as she now comes round down into 13, into 14. What a moment. Abby Pulling for Alpine takes her 5th win of this season in a dominant display. Dorian Pat following behind. Nerea Marti moves up to 2nd because of that time penalty. Maya Vug, a home race for her in 3rd. Nina Gaveman, a great performance from our wild card in 4th. Dorian Pat has dropped to P5 with that false start. Chloe Chambers 6th, Aurelia Noble 7th, Hamna Alcobazi 8th, Leah Block drops to 9th, Carrie Schreiner 10th, and they are the points finishing positions.
Really close, wasn't it, from Schreiner there all the way back to De House. They were all within a 2.5 seconds. That was super tight, so great racing all the way through the field. But what a dominant performance from Abby Pulling, her engineer on the pit wall there, just communicating. Normal sort of procedure here in terms of just going off the racing line, get a bit of pickup on those tyres, and Abby waving to the crowd. We saw a really passionate crowd here yesterday, and I think we'll see the same again today.
So, final classification of race 1, Abby Pulling takes the win. Nerea Marti alongside in P2 and Maya Vug in 3rd. Nina Gageman, phenomenal performance for her in 4th. Dorian Pan, because of the time penalty, dropped to 5th. Chloe Chambers in 6th, Aurelia Nobles 7th. Hamna Alcobazi for Red Bull Racing, operated by MP, which is a home race for them, in 8th. Leah Block put up a great fight against Alcobazi, finishing in 9th. And Carrie Schreiner for Kick Sauber in 10th. Tina Hausman just out of the points there in 11th. Jess Edgar 12th. Lola Lovenfoss 13th. Bianca Bustamante 14th. Emily De Hausch in 15th. And Amna Alcobazi finishes off the results in 16th. And you can see there the weather continues to shine here in the Netherlands. Welcome to Zandvoort as we go racing once again. It's race 2. The drivers have had a very quick break, an hour or so since the end of race 1, which was postponed due to adverse weather conditions yesterday. This is one of the most favourite tracks on the calendar at 4.2 kilometres in length. It's 14 turns and there is plenty of elevation. That turn 1, 19 degrees of banking, and it provides plenty of challenges for the 16 drivers battling it out on the track today. So we can see the green flag has been waved. Keep your eyes on the lights and the 16 drivers who are about to go racing here in Zandvoort. And we've got 2 cars stalled at the back there. Dorian Pan gets a fantastic run down to the first straight. Abby Pulling has dropped back into P3. Maya Vug slips in right behind Dorian Pan. A brilliant start there. Nerea Marti goes wide at turn 1, manages to recover. We're going to have to do a quick replay to see who the staller was at the back. But Dorian Pan, at this critical point in the race, has maintained her lead. And Abby Pulling has dropped back down to P3.
Lots to dissect there. You could see Nerea Marti's car go up in the air on the exit of 1. It looked like Nobles just came across the front of the car, wheel-to-wheel contact, just shot the car in the air. Pulling now on the attack. Maya Vug did well to get past her at the start. We're now going to see where the pace is at. Perfect start from Dorian Pa after that struggle in race 1. I think it was Leah Block that stalled because she is now currently 16th after a really strong race earlier on.
Yeah, absolutely. So we'll keep an eye on if Leah Block can recover during the course of that race and move up the positions. But it's great to see everyone else safely through the first couple of turns, and now the focus for Dorian Pan is to just look ahead, stay calm, stay cool, stay collected, and just build that gap. We've seen her do it before. We saw her do it in that first race in Jeddah, where she had that lights to flag victory, and she did build a lovely gap between herself and Abby Pulling, who took the 2nd place in that first race. But Dorian Pan seems to be back on form. You can see Bianca Bustamante there, has moved up already. She started in 15th, now moved up to 13th. She's had a really difficult weekend. Bianca Bustamante is 7th in the championship at the moment. She's already had one podium in Miami, but she did unfortunately crash in qualifying, had to retire, and hence why she started towards the back of the grid.
Yeah, and we're watching the front of the grid here, pulling all over the back. I thought she was going to dive to the inside. She actually just locked her brake into turn one, pulling, so still getting everything up to temperature. Also looks like Nobles is potentially holding up our wild card, Nina Gaidman, our highest finisher wild card so far this season, in 4th in race 1. Can she go one better and get on the podium? As we look at pulling, still all over the back of Maya Rugg. It gets so difficult in these high-speed corners to follow closely in the turbulent, dirty air, but pulling is looking strong. She will also be looking past Maya Rugg to see, is Dorian Pang getting involved, as we see the investigation going on there. I didn't see that one. Be interesting to get a replay, but look at Nobles in 4th place in the Puma car, holding up these two cars on board of Hamda El Khawazi. Can she do anything to get past Gaidman, or is she thinking I'm better to sit behind, let Gaidman open the door on Nobles and then follow through on that move? It's going to start to get interesting. We saw Nobles struggle a little bit for pace at the start of the race, but then got stronger earlier this morning in race 1.
So we saw some great racing action from Hamda El Khawazi this morning, pushing with Leah Block, and it looks like we're going to see a repeat performance. She's going to be all over the back of Nina Gaidman, not going to make it an easy one for her. But Nina Gaidman, you know, the wildcards driver for this race weekend, a phenomenal first race for her, finishing 4th. She had a great qualifying, and you know, she really hasn't had a huge amount of experience compared to some of these drivers, but is here ready to make the most of this experience. She wants the world to see what she can do and, you know, basically ensure that she has a successful future in single-seaters going forward. And of course, being in front of the home crowd, Nigel Mansell always said, being in front of the home crowd gives you that extra 10th per lap, and perhaps that's on Nina Gaidman's side. But we're now on board with Hamda El Khawazi in the Red Bull racing car. She is chasing down Gaidman for that 5th position. Hamda El Khawazi is a great racer in F1 Academy. We've seen her race here before. She won twice last year, and she's back in her 2nd season, but last season of F1 Academy, because you can only do 2 seasons to really show the world her skill and determination. All over the back of Gaidman at the moment, looking for that opportunity. They're obviously fighting for the same, but oh, a little lock up there, so she's feeling the pressure. Gaidman is very much looking in her mirrors to check what Hamda El Khawazi is doing, and this is going to be an intense moment for her, but so far she is delivering a really strong race, showing that maturity, but we have still got, well, 14 laps to go.
It's such an intense lap round here at Zandvoort. There's almost no respite for any of these drivers, and Gaidman just locking that brake into turn 10 that you saw then causes it to run wide. You just lose a little bit of braking efficiency as soon as those wheels lock up, and it's very difficult to recover from. Gaidman's got to get on the aggressive here and try to get past Nobles, otherwise she is going to get overtaken by El Khawazi, I think.
Yeah, look at that, El Khawazi there. This is a possible overtaking opportunity. Look to the inside, thought about it, but has slotted back into position. But that 22 car of Nobles with the Puma livery, she is going to be feeling the pressure. But, you know, Nobles, again, we've seen her really improve over the course of this season. Let's listen in.
As soon as we have an opportunity, we need to send it.
Now, at that point, she's probably well aware of what she needs to do, but of course, you've got your engineer just reminding you there that this is your opportunity. You have to do it now. There's a huge gap generated now. What is that? 4 seconds. Nobles there behind Abby pulling, and Dorian Pat still leading this race by 1 second ahead of Maya Rugg.
Yeah, I just wonder maybe Nobles has a little bit of damage from the contact with Marty. Turn 1, lap 1, the front left corner took a big hit. Only takes a little bit of suspension damage to change the toe, which would only be 2 millimeters for an optimal performance. So you can imagine even just a millimeter or 2 here makes a big, big difference. As we go to Dorian Pat, she's looking comfortable at the moment, keeping that gap well over a second now, 1.3 seconds, and pulling looks like she's struggling a little bit to stay with Maya Rugg as we go back to the battle pack behind, really head up by Nobles. Gaidman seems to struggle to stay close enough through this final corner, which leads speeds on to the best overtaking spot of the lap into turn number 1. Actually looks like Alcobazi is the one who's got the potential here. We saw her do the move on Leah Block. Gaderman's going to go defensive. She doesn't. She goes back outside. Alcobazi just needs to find her breaking point. Locks up a little bit. Gaderman closes the door and just gives her a tiny bit of space side by side on the exit of 1. Who's going to keep it pinned into 2? It's difficult. And Gaderman closes the door. Harsh but fair on Alcobazi. But look, that gives Nobles a chance just to breathe a little easier. I think this is the flow we're going to see for the remaining 12 laps. But look at the replay. Pulling a little bit slower than Maya Vug on the optimal racing line side. Maybe not as much grip there. You can see Schreiner closing the door on Houseman, and then Marty and Nobles on that sort of third row there. The first side-by-side cars, the blue Puma against the Tommy Hilfiger car. Just contact now, and you can see the car pop up, and Marty loses so much momentum. 5-6 spaces lost. Nobles, that was an interesting bit of contact. I think it's a racing instant for me. On board with pulling, you can see Pan just accelerating. Maya Vug's going to come in the Ferrari car to the left as well. Pulling, checking her left mirror, checking her right mirror. Goes to the racing line and then decides I need to now get on the front foot and go. Chloe Chambers a little bit further back. You can see Leah Block stalling there. All the drivers. Schreiner had to really react well, didn't she? Go from extreme left to extreme right on the track, and then everyone just concertinaing up. Everyone staying clean. You might just see Marty in the ground there going up in the air. We get a good shot of it here. Watch that Tommy Hilfiger car pop up in the air as they get a bit of contact. Does really well not to lose grip of the steering wheel because it wants to get ripped from the grip of your hands when contact like that happens.
Well, great to see the replay there. And, you know, once again, Abby Pulling has lost. Right, so we've got wheel-to-wheel action here. Nina Gateman is going for the move on Aurelia Nobles. Can she make this move? Fighting over for the same bit of tarmac. She's working hard. The tyres are working hard. Has she got the car in the right window to maximise that performance? At the moment, Dorian Parr has got the fastest lap. There is a point available for that. So it's really important to do. But no, so it jostled, dropped back into position. Nobles is doing a great job there defending from Gateman. But let's take a listen.
Got to try and do her in the next 2 laps.
Right, okay, so Abby Pulling has been given instruction by her engineer that she needs to pass Maya Vug in the next 2 laps. She's getting closer and closer. If you look at the sector times there, Pulling is faster than Vug in Sector 1 and Sector 3, sorry. Maya Vug faster in Sector 2. But the gap now between Pulling and Vug is very much closing. This is an opportunity for her. Down this long start-finish straight, turn 1, the banked turn as you come into it, different lines that you can take. This is a great overtaking opportunity. Let's see what's going to happen. Can Nina Gateman go for it? Hasn't quite got the pace that she needs to make the move stick there on Nobles, and Nobles continues to defend. But the gap now 7 seconds down to Nobles.
Yeah, we're really losing the front 3 here, so the battle's going to get hard. Gateman locking a little bit. We saw last lap the car's very close in the section coming up turns 5, 6 and 7. Not normally an overtaking spot here at Zandvoort, so I assume Nobles had a poor run out of 3 the previous lap. This lap looks okay, however, Gateman is still very close. Gateman looks very strong at this point of the lap, doesn't she? And then you can see the turbulent air just causing a little bit of understeer for that lovely rose gold number 4 car, and it's just going to be, can we stay close enough? It actually looks like Alcobazi is slightly closer to the rear of Gateman, and again a little lock up. It's so hard in the dirty air to be able to attack. Looks down the inside. Can she force a mistake? Not quite yet. Nobles is driving a very good race here. We haven't seen any major mistakes from her just yet.
Yeah, it really is neck and neck at the moment. Too close to call who is going to manage to move onto, of course, podium finishing positions. If Gateman can pass Noble and catch up to Pulling, she could see herself on the podium. Although at the moment, with that gap getting bigger and bigger, it's going to be a real challenge. Pulling there, you can see faster in Sector 1, 2 and 3 ahead of Noble. So we have 10 laps to go. It's Dorian Parr for Mercedes in the lead at the moment by just 1.3 seconds. Vug, Pulling, Nobles, Gateman, Hamda Alcobazi, Schreider, Lovenfoss, Marty and Houseman, all in points finishing positions. seconds. But we are still only halfway through the race, so there's a lot to play for.
Yeah, Noble's really having to drive a bit more defensive now. And I think that's why the gap has grown so much to 7 seconds. And she's almost created an 8-car battle pack behind her. So there's going to be some flash points, I'm sure, in that mid-pack as everyone wants to try and get on the front foot. Again, Alcobazi is so close. She's going to be in the perfect slipstream pocket there. The air being punched a massive, massive hole. And is she going to be able to get to the inside down at turn number 7? It's very difficult. Gademan a little wide, but does get to the apex slightly later, so she'll get a good exit, which we can see here into the tricky turn number 8. Cars want to get forced out wide, but the car needs to stay, and then you get it straight for a very difficult braking zone into turn 9. Gademan a little wide again, drag the car over to the right-hand side. A real clunky hairpin. The circuit's so wide here, very easy just to not quite get the optimal line. And you actually saw Alcobazi run a little wide, couldn't pick the throttle up, then got on the dirty exit curve, which lost her traction, and that's why the gap has grown in front of us.
Gaiman for the FQ team is doing a great job here. Hamda Alcobazi is all over the back of her, breathing down her neck. She's got to defend from Alcobazi, but also attack Nobles at the same time, but showing her racecraft here to the world here in F1 Academy in Zandvoort.
Yeah, with these cars, 175 horsepower, so the slipstream is so powerful on them. Feels like you've got a turbo boost of 20, 30 horsepower, and that's why Nobles is doing such a good job to hold everybody off. She is really giving everyone a bit of a helping hand down this straight. Looks like she's safe again. Gademan attacking a little bit too late there, locking the brakes. I think Gademan just probably needs a lap or two of chill just to try and bring the front tyres down. They're working so hard in that dirty air. They're potentially just getting out their optimal performance window, and that will be what Noble wants to do, is basically back everyone up into each other, and she can then hopefully make a break at some point.
Yeah, and Hamda Alcobazi's got to be really careful as well, because while she's focusing on passing Gademan ahead, she's got to keep an eye on her mirrors, because the kick-salver car of Carrie Schreiner, who also won here last year, is breathing down Hamda Alcobazi's neck and also wants to make a move. So it's going to be incredibly tight between these 3 and 4 drivers.
Yeah, and then Lovenfoss in 8. She finished 12th this morning, so she's done good job to get well inside the top 10.
So Schreiner just went quicker in lap 5, lap 6 and lap 7 than Alcobazi there. So Schreiner is really going to be putting on the pressure of Hamda. She's going to have to make a move to Nina Gademan, otherwise she could fall into the hands of Schreiner. And they go side by side. Is this it? Is this the moment? Nobles is pushed wide. Nina Gademan moves up into 3rd. We've watched this battle. She's inched her way closer and closer. But finally, Nina Gademan has moved ahead. And Hamda Alcobazi has also capitalised on the opportunity. Nobles was pushed out, and Hamda moves up into P5.
Yeah, down to 6th for Nobles. Great shot there from the helicopter. You got a great perspective. To me, it looked like Gademan got fully alongside. Nobles tried to close the door, and it was side-to-side contact. She's now under threat from Carrie Schreiner that we were saying about. It's got some serious pace at the moment. Nobles has done well to close the door there. I think that was a fair move. I feel bad for Nobles. She had to take the trip through the gravel trap, but great move from Gademan, hard and late on the brakes into 11 to get that job done.
Lola Lovenfoss there, coming down, on the inside of Carrie Schreiner. They go side by side. Carrie Schreiner just coming up ahead. Obviously, we're going to see a great little battle between them. And in that time, Nobles has managed to just create a little bit of a gap, a bit of a comfort blanket between herself and Schreiner.
Yeah, it's all kicking off. Great look from Lovenfoss into turn number 3. Late on the brakes as we go to a replay of the move. You can see Gademan gets it down the inside, gets to the apex, and then it just runs a little wide. Be interesting how that looks to race control. Side-to-side contact, you can see it's under investigation. It's from that angle, it looks a little bit worse for Gademan, if I'm being honest. I think Nobles would say, well, where did you want me to go? And the only answer was through the gravel. Great car control as the car comes back onto the racing line. Alcobazi doing a great job to go for a late apex to then get the speed and overtake into turn number 13.
Yeah, that was incredibly lucky, actually, that didn't turn into a bigger incident and everyone was safely through. We are now on board with Abby Pulling. She started on the front row of the grid in P2, and now she's very much on the hunt for that red Ferrari of Maya Vug, a home race for Maya. Maya Vug very much set out her intention of this weekend. She wants to be on the podium. She wants to be bringing home the points in front of her home crowd. It was a great result for her in race 1. Can she do it again? It's Abby Pulling who's very much going on the attack, coming for her, getting closer and closer. She's brought that gap down to now just 0.3 of a second. So Maya Vuk has got a lot of work to do. She really needs to increase that gap between herself and Abby Pulling. Otherwise, she will be dropping back down.
Yeah, Pulling's obviously a racer at heart. You can never take that away from someone. But she will be thinking about the championship. She's 84 points clear of Dorian Pan. So she does not need these extra few points from going from third to second. She needs just to finish and keep cementing it. You can see that racer at heart, though, locking the brake into turn number 10. She is pushing as hard as she can, and she'll just be asking the question of Vuk. What she will want to dream of is Vuk just makes a little mistake and she can just slide down the inside with no risk. I don't think we're going to see a move like we saw with Gaidman on Nobles, or like a last-minute lunge. I think Pulling's going to be very calculated. We heard the engineer. There's the time penalty for Gaidman. I can see why that shot from the front, it really did look like she left Nobles not much space to go, and the collision was more on her front doorstep than Nobles.
That is really tricky because obviously, you know, Nina Gaiman, that racing between them all had been so clean up until that point. Maybe a few frustrations showing that she just really wanted that piece of tarmac, but obviously two do not go in to one. So there is going to be that 10-second time penalty, which will have a huge effect on Nina Gaiman's finishing position.
Massively so, and the biggest winner of that is Hamid Al-Khabazi. She got the place on Nobles and now will be given the place as well on Gaidman because of that. So looking likely that Al-Khabazi, would finish fourth overall. You can still see Carrie Schreiner attacking Nobles. Lovin Foss has dropped back a little bit after we saw the attack at turn 3 a couple of laps ago. Chloe Chambers a little bit wide there as well through turn number 3 of a quirky corner. Such extreme banking, the driver's able to use that at the top part and then cutting back for a long run all the way down here at turn number 7.
So we can see there the green livery Aston Martin of Tina Houseman, who's currently in the final points finishing position in P10. Houseman is 9th in the championship at the moment, but it would be great to get a few more points in the bag. So almost a bit of side-by-side action between Chloe Chambers and Amna Al-Khabazi. Amna's really moved up. She starts from the back of the grid and is now in P13. So if she can keep that going, she could be on for a points finishing position with 5 laps to go.
Super intense pressure here from Amna, looking to the inside. Turn 11, like Gaidman, backs out of it to save contacts. Really looks like Chambers is struggling for pace a little bit here. So it'll be interesting where it goes now, because now De House is closer to the back of Amna just because of those 3 corners where she tried to get past Chambers. So she needs to regroup and hopefully can then get back on the front of it. Bustamante also has done well now, up to 11th from starting 15th. So there's been quite a lot of movers and shakers towards the back end of this grid.
Yeah, absolutely. And interesting, obviously, Chloe Chambers, she started the race in P16. Side by side there, the 2 Red Bulls. Emily De Houch making a move on Amna Al-Khabazi, and she does it. Emily De Houch moves up a place. It's a home race for her. That is a great performance. She moves up into P13.
Textbook move. That's being a local helps with stuff like that. Set up well out of the last corner at 14, sent to the inside. Not a lot Amna could have done. Now Leah Block is on the attack through the sweeping sections, through the dunes, hang it round the outside into turn number 7. Pick your braking point, still side by side. Leah Block now will tuck back in. Jessica Edgar in the Amex car following closely as well. So it is hot and fast racing towards the back here. Leah Block, obviously stalling at the start, is now trying to get back up to where she feels she should be. Let's have a look at that overtake. De House pops it to the inside, super late on the brakes. Amna has to give her the space. Side by side, does really well. De House then to rotate the car and get the exit. Look how close the front wing there. And let's have a look at Dorian Pan. She's still pushing hard, locking the brake into turn number 12, just keeping it rotating so she doesn't get a big flat spot, but you can just see it there. She really is pushing on hard at the moment. She does have the fastest lap of the race and a 1.9 second gap to this battle here of Maya Vuk and Abby Pulling.
So Abby Pulling now just 4/10 off Maya Vuk. Similar situation where we were a couple of laps ago, not quite managing to make her move stick. Abby Pulling trying hard, but as we mentioned earlier, it is not so critical for her. You don't want to throw away a podium position. So it is pin at the pan at the moment in P1. But Maya Vug is closing up. Let's listen in.
Think about your line. Don't get drawn into hers. Think about your line and fast feet.
So the gap at the front has actually really closed up. Dorian Pan just 1.8 seconds ahead of Maya Vug. So although she thought she had a relatively straightforward job out ahead, actually she does need to keep a bit of an eye on what's going on behind her, because Maya Vug is looking seriously racy.
Keep her behind you at all times, okay?
Yeah, so interesting one from the pulling radio there. The engineer obviously feeling maybe she's compromising her line being so close to Vug. Very easily done. When you follow a car, you tend just to follow where they go, sometimes even turning in a little early just to get a better view of the corner. And all of this driver coaching happens all the way to the pinnacle of our sport in F1. When you listen into the radios, you can hear the engineers telling drivers, Charles Leclerc yesterday getting told to change his braking point for turn 9. That's on the fly. So this is a great sport to be able to learn live and improve yourself, and that's why it's definitely a team sport, not an individual one that we're seeing just with the drivers on track.
And this is such a great display from Dorian Pan, because a reminder again, she only moved into single-seater racing last year in 2023. She has, you know, arrived on the scene and put in such incredible performances. She won one of her first F4 SEA races and also won her F4 UAE races, and is going from strength to strength now in F1 Academy.
Yeah, it's a huge discipline change for her. Ferrari Challenge champion in 2022 to a single-seater F4-like car in F1 Academy is a huge change. So to be leading this race, relatively dominant now, 2 seconds, as we see this battle pack leaving again on the sweeping nature of Zandvoort. It's such a great circuit here. It's up, it's down, it's blind, it's fast, and there is no respite whatsoever. And one small mistake suddenly turns into a massive one as you see these cars dive in, drifting all the way. You can see the drivers working away at the steering wheel, maximising the grip that they're getting from these Pirelli tyres.
Yeah, Bianca Bustamante in P11, really on the hunt for Tina Hausmann in 10th at the moment, trying to get that final point-scoring position. But Hausmann's having a great run there, really on the hunt for Nerea Marti in the Tommy Hilfiger car just in front, inching her way closer and closer. Nerea Marti obviously lost out at the start of this race, running wide and dropping back. So it's a disappointment one for her, but still managing to hopefully finish in the points.
Yeah, exactly, finishing second in the race this morning. She will feel very hard done by all the way down in 9th. Going back on board with pulling, gap looks a little bigger to Vug, who just locks again a little into turn number 1. 2 laps to go, so this is really the last of the last chances for pulling to get herself up. It does look like it's going to be dependent on a mistake from the Ferrari liveried car in front. However, getting a good exit out of there. Does the gap start to close as we get the slipstream effect? It comes very powerful, over 100 kilometers an hour, then it exponentially grows, and it suddenly feels like you have got that turbo boost on I was talking about. Vug, great with her line, pulling in a little earlier. Is she going to run wide here? Careful on the track limits. Luckily, the camera just cut away, so we don't know if she was guilty.
So pulling there quicker in lap 12, 13, 14 and 15, the last 4 laps than Nina Gademan, as we would expect by looking at the timings. Nina Gademan actually has dropped back a little bit. The gap was 10 seconds earlier, now it's dropped to 11, nearly 12 seconds. So Gademan, with that 10-second penalty, is really going to probably be dropping out of the points, which is such a shame for her, but doing everything she possibly can. Right, so this is the final moment, really. 2 laps to go that Abby Pulling has got to try and make this move on Maya Vug. They all have identical cars, but the setup is different. Can Abby Pulling find a little bit of extra performance out of this Tatas-built chassis? What can she do with it? Hamda Al-Qubaisi is right down, breathing down the neck of Nina Gademan there, but obviously she doesn't really need to make a move given the fact that there is that time penalty. Actually, it might be safer to just stick in P5.
Definitely, that will be what the engineer has been telling her since Gademan got that 10-second penalty. This is also going to be a great result with Pa and Vug in first and second for Prema, who run those cars. Currently third in the championship, but only 9 points behind Campos. Rodin, obviously running the pulling car, are leading that championship, but that could be an interesting part for the teams that Prema have got 2 very strong drivers in this race.
Keep your eyes on Dorian Pin. She is the 20-year-old French driver from Paris, dubbed the Pocket Rocket. She was recovering from fractured ribs last time round, but said she was back on form. The goal here was to win, and it looks like she is going to be able to deliver. It will be her second time of a lights to flag victory. So, as we are coming down into the penultimate final corner here in Zandvoort, it is Dorian Pin for Mercedes who takes her second win of the season, a defiant race win, redemption after receiving that time penalty for the jump start in race 1. Maya Vug, a home podium for her, and Abby Pulling takes third place.
And we see Alcabazi coming across 5th on track, but now the time penalty gets added to Gaidman, 4th. Great result for here. And then look at the battle. Noble, Schreiner, Lovin Foss, all pushing to the line.
And it's Nobles across ahead of Schreiner with Lovin Foss, Marty, Hausman and Gaidman all coming over the line next. Obviously, Gaidman is in P10 because of that time penalty, so she does manage to score that 1 point. Bustamante in P11, Chambers 12th, De Hausch 13th, Amna Alcabazi in 14th, Block after that tricky start for her in 15th, and Jess Edgar in 16th. Dorian Pin's radio.
Yes! Yes, sir! Come on! Thank you so much. You all deserve it. You all deserve it. The car was good today. Thank you so much.
Brava, good job. It was mega. Hat trick, pole position, fastest lap, and race win. Great.
Very nice indeed. A full sweep, 28 points, 2 points for pole position and 1 point for the fastest lap and 25 for the win. Now it's time for the trophies to be presented by Prince Bernhard. And some more silverware for the cabinet. When you look at Dorian Pin's season so far, it really has been quite mixed. I'm sure she's feeling a bit of a sigh of relief to know that she is back on top form and back ready to really challenge Abby Pulling. I think it's great for the competition as well to see someone really challenging Pulling at the front of the grid.
Yeah, and it's going to keep it spicy. All 3 of these in a class of their own today. 2 lots of champagne within 2 hours for Pulling and Pat there. So see how happy Pulling is. I think as the year goes on, Pulling is going to relax more and more as this championship lead stays like this. And if Pan can turn the tide, I think we may see a different personality come from Abby Pulling.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you know, we still cannot question Pulling's dominant display over the course of this season. She's up there on 190 points at the moment, with Dorian Pin in second on 119. Chloe Chambers, who actually did drop out of the points in race 2, is on 89 points, but inching her way forward in 4th. Nerea Marty is on 85 points, but Maya Vug, thanks to her podium, her 2 podiums today, is just 1 point behind Marty in 5th. So it's really quite close for that battle at the moment for 3rd in the standings. But of course, we still have 3 rounds to go and 6 races, so there is still plenty to play for. Of course, our next race, we will be heading to the street circuit of Singapore. Cannot wait for that one of my favourites on the calendar. But let's take a look at the final race result. It was, of course, Dorian Pin on the top step of the podium here in Zandvoort with Maya Vug. Home race for her, 2nd, and Abby Pulling in P3. Hamna Alcabazi showed a strong performance today, really fighting on track in 4th. Aurelia Nobles, a great result for her in 5th. Carrie Schreiner up there in 6th. Lola Lovenfoss, 7th. Nerea Marty for Tommy Hilfiger dropped back in 8th after that start, and then Tina Hausman in 9th and Nina Gaidman in 10th, just claiming that last point. Bianca Bustamante in 11th, Chloe Chambers 12th, Emily De Hausch. We saw some good battles from her, but finished 13th. Amna Alcabazi 14th, and Leah Block and Jess Edgar 15th and 16th. Well, there we have it. What a brilliant, brilliant weekend of racing we've seen for F1 Academy here in Zandvoort. The fans have really shown their support. We've absolutely loved it. The conditions changed, the sun came out, and it was Dorian Pant who really shined at the track here in Zandvoort. And we look forward to seeing you in September as we go racing in Singapore.